Alright, did a few suggestions, but also can we make sure I need those toolbox checks back today? We were supposed to have that Friday. I need those checklists of what's missing and what we need to replace. So I need that back today so we can get that ordered for the next one. Also, during the power outage, as Dan suggested, that we need to put some type of emergency light over by Press 77 in the mold rack. It was really dark during the power outage, so I'll have to take a look at that and see what we can do. See if we can have one over there. Obviously, with the safety glasses, we need to put a safety glass cleaning station. So Julie, I'll work with you. I don't know where you're at, but we'll work on that, getting a couple stations ordered up so we can get those out in the plant. If you guys have this issue that, getting material flat for the grinder because they're using cardboard, well, if we don't know that we need it, we can't fix it. So, and it doesn't say what grinder that is, so we want to make sure we don't use the cardboard on the grinder to contaminate the material. So, if that is an issue, we need to actually identify and put a work order in for it. And also, again, Robert and I messed up this weekend, but we need to actually obviously be prepared for a weekend. And we didn't plan ahead of the weekend. We didn't have enough totes or gaylords, so we didn't have a priority list of what needs to shut down or what needs to run. So that's us. So we have to work on that and figuring that out so we don't have, it shouldn't be a surprise by the time we get to Sunday if we don't have enough stuff. We should be ahead of the game, okay? So we'll work on that. So there's some good suggestions. We'll get those out, so, okay? There's also some events we're putting up on the list, so we got those going. So please check the dates on those. Alright, I know we talked about this. I know Bob talked about it in his speech about 30 minutes, but I don't know if everyone got a chance. It was hard on the second shift, the third shift with the volume, so we wanted to talk about it. Eye bolts have been an issue for a long time, so obviously they took it upon themselves to start laying them out and actually got it more organized. One of the questions I have is what color code, how does anyone know what the color code system is? So we want, okay, thank you. So improvement on the improvement, I like to hear that. Alright, so it's just something that we're looking at, but obviously it's a lot better. You guys now have them in your toolbox, some swivels in your toolbox, so you don't need to come over here and take those. And again, identify the molds that you can't use swivels on, so we can get eye bolts on those, okay? So make sure we do that. Let's give Nick and Bob a hand. They did a nice job of that. So. Alright, so it's going to summarize this whole part one summary. Alright, so it's going to talk about this last chapter. Toyota started out as a small and struggling Japanese auto company striving to be something more. It started out with a vision of Seiki Toyota, who wanted his son, Kirishio, to contribute something great to society. It was a family-owned business rooted in the ethics of small farming community off the beaten track of Tokyo. The frugality of Arki Prefecture is famous in Japan and reflected in Toyota as a passion for eliminating waste. As Toyota grew, great leaders contributed to the thinking and sweat to building a distinctive company culture that is best characterized as a learning organization. The Toyota production system is one result of the learning process, but beneath the surface of all the bells and whistles of TPS is an underlying philosophy now articulated as respect for people and continuous improvement. We began the book with some cultural theory and described three levels of culture: what we see in the surface, what leaders of the organization profess, and the deeper underlying assumptions that seem so basic. Members of the organization may not even be able to clearly articulate. These three levels are used to summarize what we have learned so far from the analysis of root of the company and external environment that influences Toyota's culture. In the early days of Toyota, as a company, it was not necessary to be very explicit about the Toyota way. It did not have a name, and it was just the way things were done in Toyota. Explicit underlying assumptions were taught to junior members as the way to think, act through the daily lessons. In the high context of society of Japan, it was not unusual for much to be unsaid, and in Toyota, it was almost a corporate religion to avoid writing things down. Learning was best done at the Gemba by doing. As Toyota globalized and has had to incorporate a broad circle of people from many nations and cultures, it has become increasingly necessary to bring underlying assumptions into the realm of implicit. We might say the middle part of the pyramid, what is explicitly stated as values and norms, has grown larger. The Toyota Way 2001 writes down many of those explicit assumptions about what it means to be part of Toyota. In more deeply understanding what is seldom stated, the true underlying assumption, it is necessary to delve into Japanese culture. We must understand the high context culture of Japan, which is based on relationships and obligations and responsibility. It is not very Japanese-like to think of a company purely as a business based on utilitarian relationships between owners and workers. We must understand the company as a complex network of relationships, as much as a complex network of business transactions. Concepts like trust, honor, and partnership are more potent in the business context than context of contracts, cost-benefit calculations, and business strategy. One interesting aspect of Toyota culture is the dichotomy between humbleness and remarkable optimism that people can do anything they set out to do energetically. The spirit of challenge is about taking on a greater and greater challenges, but winning each and every time. Even the environment is not to be taken as a given. If the environment is not providing high enough quality people, Toyota will influence the local community to raise the level of people. What drives a passion for innovation and improvement is discomfort that the next crisis that threatens the company is right around the corner. Yet once the target is set, there is such an unbridled optimism that the target will be met. One might think this is an arrogant company that thinks that it has no weaknesses. To counter this time and time again, top leaders remind the masses that the greatest danger to Toyota is complacency and arrogance. In many ways, Toyota is filled with paradoxes, but resolves the paradoxes to make breakthrough after breakthrough. These breakthroughs in thinking do not happen because of Lean or Six Sigma or next CEO hired, but through people developed and trained over decades of career. Okay? So it's not overnight, doesn't happen overnight. It's still based on the culture, so that's what we're working on. Okay? So there's a lot of underlying stuff that goes on underneath behind the scenes. So, okay?